When I first opened my eyes, I thought we had finally escaped. The air was colder here, sharper, cleaner than the thick dust and metal I'd grown used to. They told us we were safe now. After everything we'd survived, those words sounded like a miracle. The building was bright, sterile, and quiet. Too quiet. The people who greeted us smiled like they'd been waiting for us their entire lives. They said we were free. They said we'd done well. They promised food, beds, and rest. For the first time in a long time, we weren't running. We weren't fighting. We were just breathing. But even as I tried to believe it, something inside me wouldn't settle. Maybe it was the way the doors always locked behind us, or the way the guards' eyes followed every move we made. Maybe it was the smell, the faint trace of disinfectant and fear. We were told that more survivors were being rescued every day from other places like the one we came from. That soon, we'd all be relocated to somewhere better, a new beginning. It almost sounded beautiful. Still, I couldn't sleep that night. The silence was heavy, almost staged. I wandered the corridors when no one was watching, looking for something, maybe the truth, maybe just a feeling that this was real. That's when I started to notice things. Closed doors, red lights flashing behind glass, screams that cut off too quickly, people disappearing. No one ever questioned it, because no one wanted to break the illusion of safety. But I couldn't ignore it. I found rooms we weren't supposed to see. Rooms with stretchers, needles, bodies. They said they were treating the sick, but those people weren't sick. They were being drained, used, experimented on. The same pattern, the same lies, just wearing a new face. The walls were cleaner, but the cage was the same. That's when I knew we were never free. We were still their experiment. So we ran again. It didn't take much. Just a gap in the guard's rotation, a hallway left unguarded, and the right kind of fear in our chests. We escaped through vents, stairwells, and shattered glass. Alarms screamed behind us. Boots thundered down the halls. But the outside world was waiting. When we finally broke through those final doors, what greeted us wasn't salvation, it was hell. The air hit like fire. The sky wasn't blue. It was a pale, washed-out orange, as if the sun had scorched the life out of it. Buildings stood in ruins, their bones jutting out from the sand like broken ribs. The wind carried dust so thick it felt alive. It was the end of the world, and somehow we had survived long enough to see it. They called this place the Scorch. 4 days, we wandered through the wasteland. The heat burned our skin. Water was rare. The silence stretched endlessly, broken only by the distant moans of the infected, the ones who had lost themselves to the virus that had destroyed everything. They were twisted shells of what used to be human, consumed by hunger, madness, and pain. We called them cranks. Seeing them was like looking into a mirror of what we could become if we didn't keep moving. Every step felt heavier than the last, but stopping was an option. Somewhere out there was a group fighting back, a resistance that could give us shelter, maybe even answers. But the world had become a graveyard, and every direction felt like walking deeper into death. The nights were the worst. The cold bit our bones, and the world grew silent enough to hear your own heartbeat. Sometimes I'd look up at the stars, or what was left of them, and wonder if there was anyone else out there who remembered what the world used to be. I couldn't. My memories came back only in flashes. Faces, voices, half-formed emotions. Every time I thought I grabbed onto something real, it slipped away like dust in my hands. We found shelter in an abandoned building once. The windows were shattered, but the walls were solid, and for a moment, it almost felt like peace. We scavenged what we could, canned food, dirty water, old blankets. But peace never lasts here. That night, the infected found us. Their screams tore through the air like thunder. They moved fast, faster than anything that broken should move. Their eyes glowed with madness, their skin torn and gray. We barely escaped. Some of us didn't. I stopped counting the bodies we left behind long ago, but every loss carved something out of me that I couldn't get back. Days later, we stumbled across a network of tunnels beneath the sand, a place untouched by sunlight. It was there that we met others, survivors who had built something resembling a home. They told us about a group that was fighting back, a group that called themselves the Right Arm. They were the last hope for people like us, and they were hidden somewhere beyond the mountains. If we could reach them, maybe we'd have a chance. Maybe we'd find real safety. So we kept moving. The tunnels led us through cities half buried in sand, where the air tasted like rust and ash. Lightning storms rolled in without warning, striking the ground with blinding white fire. We learned to run when we saw clouds forming. We learned not to trust the ground beneath us, because even the earth here wanted to swallow us whole. As we moved deeper into the Scorch, I started to understand something terrifying. The world didn't die naturally. It was killed. The virus wasn't an accident. It was engineered. The same people who built the walls, who ran the experiments, who claimed they were saving humanity, they had caused this, and they were still out there. We weren't free. We were fugitives. One night, we found a settlement lit by flickering lamps. It looked abandoned at first, but then shadows moved. People emerged, their faces wrapped in cloth, their eyes wary. They had the same look we did, tired, hungry, haunted. They let us in. For the first time in months, we felt the warmth of fire, the taste of food that wasn't scavenged. But safety always comes with a cost. They warned us that the organization was hunting anyone immune to the virus, anyone who could survive infection. We were valuable to them. Our blood, our genes, everything inside us was a key to their so-called cure. That's when the pieces started falling together. The maze wasn't meant to kill us. It was meant to test us, to find the ones who could survive, who were immune. And now that they knew who we were, they would never stop hunting us. We couldn't stay. The longer we stayed in one place, the faster they found us. So we left again, this time heading toward the mountains, where the resistance was rumored to be hiding. The journey was brutal. Sandstorms so thick we couldn't see. Heat so intense it felt like the air was burning. But the hardest part wasn't the landscape. It was trust. The people I'd once called family were changing. Some still believed in hope. Some just wanted revenge. And some had already given up. When we finally saw the mountains rising out of the horizon, it felt like a miracle. There was still green there, faint, fragile patches of life clinging to the rock. We thought we'd made it. We thought it was over. We were wrong. They found us again. Helicopters cut through the clouds. Bullets tore the air apart. The people I'd fought beside, bled beside, they were dragged away, taken like cattle. I watched one of them, my closest friend, get captured right in front of me. I tried to reach him, but they were too fast. The blades lifted off. The sand exploded beneath them, and he was gone. That was the moment something inside me broke. I realized that running wasn't enough anymore. Hiding wasn't enough. Escaping wasn't enough. We had to fight back. We eventually reached the resistance, but even there, trust was fragile. They were wary of us. Too many people had betrayed them before. Still, they gave us food, shelter, weapons. They told us the truth. The organization's reach was vast. They had labs hidden across the continent, harvesting kids like us to find their cure. The virus was spreading faster every day, turning cities into graveyards. Humanity was crumbling, and they were trying to rebuild it on the backs of the immune. I didn't care about their cure anymore. Not if it meant sacrificing people like my friend. Not if it meant turning us into experiments. I had one goal now, to find him,